Elric stood at the edge of the official beginner-level trial grounds, his wrinkled hands gripping the staff that had served him for decades. The sky above was a bruised purple, and the air was heavy with the scent of pine and damp earth. The wind whispered through the trees like an old story, and Elric, feeling its chill bite into his skin, knew this was his moment. This was his chance as a first human in this trial. For years, the Mage trials on Kepter had been the pinnacle of magical achievement. Alien species with inherent gifts, born to wield magic, saw this trial as a birthright. But for humans, magic was something earned, fought for. Elric had clawed his way here, enduring more than most of his competitors, his body weary, but his heart still fiercely alive with the desire to prove himself. He hadn't expected it to be easy. The trial had led him across jagged mountains, through mist-laden valleys, and into dense forests where the shadows held more than just whispers. Beasts of unimaginable terror had pursued him, and the land itself had fought back with hidden traps, quicksand, shifting stones, poisonous vines. Elric had drawn deeply from his mana, his magic a wellspring that was never deep enough. Now it was nearly gone, and worse still, his staff, a lifeline to channel his power, had splintered against a stone bridge when one of the creatures caught up with him. Now, it was just him, and the other mage. The trial path ahead opened into a broad clearing, bordered by towering mountains and the faint glint of a river winding through the distance. At the center of the clearing, the gem stood on a pedestal of twisted roots, glowing faintly like an ember, casting a soft light across the grass. But it was not alone. A tall figure lounged lazily against a boulder near the gem, one hand resting on it as if it was already his. The alien mage was everything Elric wasn't, young, arrogant, and untouched by the trials. His skin was a dull iron gray, his violet robes pristine despite the long journey. His eyes were too large for his face, glinting with condescension. As Elric approached, the alien's thin lips twisted into a mocking smile. "Well, well," the alien's voice was a slow drawl, rich with disdain. "Look what the wind dragged in. An old human who thinks he can steal my prize. How quaint." Elric's heart pounded, though not from fear. He had survived this far, drained of mana and strength, his robes tattered and his staff broken. But the fire inside him had not dimmed. The gem was within reach, and Elric would not leave this place without it. "I've come for the gem," Elric said, his voice rough from the long, hard hours behind him. The alien laughed, a sound like glass breaking. He pushed himself off the boulder, straightening to his full height, towering over Elric. He flicked the gem with his fingers as if toying with it, never taking his eyes off the old man. "And how exactly do you plan to take it?" His smile sharpened. "You can barely stand, human. What could you possibly do now?" Elric took a long breath, then slowly reached for the clasp of his robes. They had protected him through countless trials, but now they were heavy with dirt and sweat, the fabric hanging in shreds. Without a word, he shrugged them off, letting them fall to the ground, revealing the lean, scarred muscles and scars beneath. His body, though aged, was still strong, built through years of both magical study and the physical demands of surviving in a world not kind to human mages. He stepped forward, his gaze steady. "I've got enough left for you." The alien blinked, momentarily thrown off by Elric's calm. Then his eyes narrowed, flickering with the faint shimmer of mana still left in him. "A fist fight?" He spat the words, disgust curling his lip. "You think I'll lower myself to that?" But Elric saw through the facade. He could sense the wear in the alien's stance, the way his hand trembled just slightly as he summoned his last reserves of mana. The alien wasn't invincible. His arrogance masked his exhaustion. Elric moved, faster than the alien anticipated, his bare feet pressing into the grass as he closed the distance between them. The alien flinched, raising a hand to cast a spell. A weak burst of energy shot from his fingertips, but Elric saw it coming, ducking to the side just in time. The magic struck a tree behind him, sending leaves scattering into the wind. "I'll finish this quickly," the alien sneered, his voice edged with desperation. He stepped forward, summoning a shimmering barrier of mana, but it flickered like a dying flame. Elric didn't stop. He let his body do the talking. The first punch landed squarely on the alien's jaw. The mage staggered, eyes wide with disbelief, his thin frame swaying. Elric followed through with a second strike to the alien's midsection, forcing the breath from his lungs. The shimmering barrier snapped and vanished, leaving the alien defenseless. You fool! The alien rasped, trying to conjure another spell, but his magic was fading fast. Elric, driven by the fire that had kept him going for decades, brought his fist down one last time, sending the alien crumpling to the ground. For a long moment, the clearing was silent, the wind stirring the leaves above. Elric stood over the alien mage, his fists bloodied, his breath coming in ragged gasps. He had won. He threw his head back and laughed, his voice ringing through the trees, carried away by the mountain winds. Elric bent down and picked up the gem. The exhaustion melted away, replaced by a rush of vigor and power. He stood tall, glancing back at the alien mage who lay crumpled on the ground. The arrogance was gone from his face, replaced with a bitter, silent acknowledgement of defeat. Elric felt no pity. In the world of mages, victory was earned, not given. With steady steps, Elric turned toward the river, its waters sparkling in the distance. The signal blared high above, echoing off the mountains, marking the end of the trial.